Your application serves a global audience and must ensure low-latency access for users worldwide. Options: A. Use CloudFront with S3 as the origin. B. Use Global Accelerator with endpoints in multiple regions. C. Use Route 53 with geolocation routing. D. Use an auto-scaling group with EC2 instances across regions. Correct answer: B. Use Global Accelerator with endpoints in multiple regions. Explanation: Global Accelerator optimizes traffic routing across regions using the AWS global network, ensuring low latency and high availability. Why not other options? Option A. CloudFront is effective for static content but not for dynamic applications. Option C. Route 53 geolocation routing helps route traffic but does not reduce latency. Option D. EC2 across regions lacks intelligent routing and introduces more management complexity. You need to build a data lake on AWS to store structured and unstructured data from multiple sources. The solution must allow querying the data using SQL without the need to move it. Options: A. Use S3 for storage and Athena for querying. B. Use S3 for storage and Redshift Spectrum for querying. C. Use EFS for storage and EMR for querying. D. Use DynamoDB for storage and Glue Data Catalog for querying. Correct answer: A. Use S3 for storage and Athena for querying. Explanation: S3 is a cost-effective, durable, and scalable storage solution for a data lake. Athena enables querying data directly from S3 using SQL without moving the data. Why not other options? Option B. Redshift Spectrum incurs higher costs and is more suitable for complex queries on structured data. Option C. EFS is not cost-effective or scalable for data lake use cases. Option D. DynamoDB is not suitable for unstructured data storage. You are tasked with designing a highly available and cost-effective architecture for a web application deployed in the East 1 region. The application uses a relational database and must withstand the failure of an availability zone, AZ. Options: A. Deploy EC2 instances in a single AZ and use RDS in multi-AZ mode. B. Deploy EC2 instances in multiple AZs, use RDS in multi-AZ mode, and place an elastic load balancer, ELB, in front of the instances. C. Use Elastic Beanstalk with an auto-scaling group spanning multiple AZs and an RDS instance in a single AZ. D. Use EC2 instances in a single AZ with an ELB and RDS in read replica mode. Correct answer: B. Deploy EC2 instances in multiple AZs, use RDS in multi-AZ mode, and place an Elastic Load Balancer, ELB, in front of the instances. Explanation: Deploying EC2 instances in multiple AZs with an ELB ensures high availability for the application layer. RDS in multi-AZ mode provides automated failover for the database in case of an AZ failure. Why not other options? Option A. Deploying EC2 in a single AZ doesn't protect against AZ failures. Option C. Elastic Beanstalk simplifies deployment, but RDS in a single AZ introduces a single point of failure. Option D. RDS read replica is for read scaling, not high availability. Your company wants to host a static website for its product documentation. The website should scale globally, and the architecture should be cost-effective. Options: A. Use EC2 instances with an auto-scaling group and an application load balancer, ALB. B. Use S3 with CloudFront as a content delivery network, CDN. C. Use Elastic Beanstalk with a single EC2 instance. D. Use EFS with EC2 instances across multiple AZs. Correct answer: B. Use S3 with CloudFront as a content delivery network, CDN. Explanation: S3 provides highly scalable and cost-effective storage for static content. CloudFront improves performance by caching content globally. Why not other options? Option A. EC2 is overkill for static content and incurs unnecessary costs. Option C. Elastic Beanstalk is not optimized for hosting static websites. Option D. EFS is for shared file systems, not static website hosting. You are building an API that third-party applications will access. The API must be secured, scalable, and able to handle unpredictable traffic spikes. Options: A. Use API gateway with Lambda authorizers for authentication and EC2 for backend processing. B. Use an ALB for API routing, IAM for authentication, and EC2 for backend processing. C. Use API gateway with Lambda for backend processing and Cognito for user authentication. D. Use API gateway with RDS as the backend and IAM roles for authentication. Correct answer: C. Use API gateway with Lambda for backend processing and Cognito for user authentication. Explanation: API gateway provides a scalable entry point for the API. Lambda eliminates the need for managing servers. Cognito handles user authentication securely. Why not other options? Option A. Using EC2 for backend processing adds unnecessary management overhead. Option B. ALB doesn't provide API-specific features like throttling or caching. Option D. RDS is not suitable as a direct backend for APIs. Your organization collects large volumes of log data daily. You need to process this data in batches, perform ETL, extract, transform, load, operations, and store the results in a data warehouse. Options: A. Use EMR for processing, Glue for ETL, and Redshift for storage. B. Use Kinesis data streams for ingestion, Lambda for processing, and DynamoDB for storage. C. Use Glue for processing, Athena for querying, and S3 for storage. D. Use EC2 with custom scripts for processing and RDS for storage. Correct answer: A. Use EMR for processing, Glue for ETL, and Redshift for storage. Explanation: EMR is ideal for large-scale data processing using distributed frameworks like Apache Spark. Glue simplifies ETL tasks, and Redshift is optimized for data warehousing. Why not other options? Option B. Kinesis and Lambda are for real-time processing, not batch analytics. Option C. Glue and Athena are suitable for ad hoc querying but not for large-scale processing. Option D. Using EC2 with custom scripts is not scalable and introduces operational complexity. Your application must replicate critical data between regions for disaster recovery. The solution should provide low-latency replication and ensure data consistency. Options: A. Use S3 cross-region replication with versioning enabled. B. Use RDS with a cross-region read replica. C. Use DynamoDB global tables. D. Use data sync for scheduled replication. Correct answer: C. Use DynamoDB global tables. Explanation: DynamoDB global tables provide multi-region, active-active replication with low latency and strong consistency. Why not other options? Option A. S3 cross-region replication is suitable for objects but not for transactional data. Option B. RDS read replicas are read-only and not active-active. Option D. Data sync is for batch replication, not real-time. Your application stores sensitive data that must comply with strict encryption requirements. The solution must minimize overhead and integrate seamlessly with AWS services. Options: A. Use KMS to encrypt data stored in S3 and RDS. B. Use EC2 with custom encryption libraries. C. Use CloudHSM for encryption and manage keys manually. D. Use an external key management service and integrate via API. Correct answer: A. Use KMS to encrypt data stored in S3 and RDS. Explanation: KMS integrates seamlessly with S3 and RDS for encryption, making it cost-effective and easy to manage. Why not other options? Option B. Custom encryption libraries increase complexity and operational burden. Option C. CloudHSM is more suitable for niche use cases requiring dedicated hardware. Option D. External services add latency and increase costs. Your organization runs some workloads on-premises and wants to securely connect them to AWS resources in a VPC. Options: A. Use Direct Connect with a private virtual interface. B. Use VPN gateway with IPsec tunnels. C. Use transit gateway to connect the on-premises network. D. Use VPC peering for on-premises connectivity. Correct answer, A. Use Direct Connect with a private virtual interface. Explanation: Direct Connect provides a dedicated, high-bandwidth connection to AWS with low latency. Why not other options? Option B. VPN gateway is suitable for low bandwidth needs, but less reliable for large workloads. Option C. Transit gateway connects multiple VPCs, but is not designed for hybrid connectivity alone. Option D. VPC peering is for connecting VPCs, not on-premises networks. You are building a serverless web application that requires user authentication. The solution must be scalable, cost-effective, and minimize operational overhead. Options: A. Use API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB for the backend, and manage user authentication with IAM. B. Use API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB for the backend, and manage user authentication with Cognito. C. Use EC2 for the backend, ALB for routing, and RDS for authentication storage. D. Use Elastic Beanstalk with Lambda authorizers, and manage authentication with S3. Correct answer, B. Use API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB for the backend, and manage user authentication with Cognito. Explanation: Cognito is purpose-built for user authentication and integrates seamlessly with API Gateway. API Gateway and Lambda provide serverless compute, while DynamoDB handles scalable data storage. Why not other options? Option A. IAM is not designed for user authentication for a web application. Option C. EC2 and RDS introduce unnecessary operational overhead and higher costs. Option D. S3 is not an authentication service, and Beanstalk isn't required for this architecture.